Starfire Future, an Ultrahuman story by Oatmilk. Please note that this story will probably never be published, and that this is only in its beginning stages. There may be some grammatical errors, and some edits that will be done when the final version of the book is finished, which may be never. So please bear with me as we delve into the first chapter. Chapter 1. Echo. Gentle waves lapped at the shoreline, spraying foamy water onto the sand. Mushu paused, taking in the scenery. She crouched, feeling the wet gravel against her paws. A crow cawed from above, and she glanced upwards, her gray eyes glittering anxiously. Once realizing the creature was no threat, her nose went back to the ground and she began to sniff. Her wrist supports were doing their job well enough, but it was nearly twilight and they were beginning to ache. Mushu spotted the smooth stones, a group of rocks that were overlapping the ocean. Even during the late day, they would be warm and a great place to rest. She trotted towards the silver mass, glinting in the misty sunlight. Her shoulders, her arms, and her back were all hurting, but nothing compared to the aching of her wrists. Using her human hands, she gently but nimbly took off the gloves, then the wraps. She flexed her fingers, glad that they were free, but disappointed her quadrobics couldn't have lasted longer. Mushu lay down, stretching and relishing even this gloomy day. Suddenly, she began to feel a shift, one of phantom limbs. A wolf tail, invisible but present, began to wag. Her gear, a mask of an eastern wolf, seemed to almost melt into her own body. She yipped with excitement, but became fearsome, realizing she was without her pack. Normally this wouldn't concern her, but now that her mind had shifted, she was anything but calm. The sun was setting, and a lone wolf could easily be taken down by a pack of coyotes, especially one that was physically human. Mushu began to howl, softly at first, but then louder and louder. Her howl echoed through the pine forest, lingering in hollows and caves for moments after. The screech of a cougar came soon after, nearing Mushu, but she recognized the screech, for it was not one of a territorial dispute, but one from motherly love. Mother! She bounded towards her fake tail flopping. Lilypad was not wearing her mask, but was wearing a pair of small beige ears. She, too, was walking on all fours to greet her only daughter. Hello! Lilypad dipped her head. Did you become lost? No, Mother, I merely wished for your company. It's getting late. Would you like to head back to the lodge? Mushu frowned in disappointment, but quickly shook it off and nodded. There was always tomorrow, after all. The two padded side by side through the familiar territory, both too exhausted to walk on fours, and preferring their human appendages. Just this once. Their camp was a 4-story wood building. At the busiest times, 28 ultrahumans could be comfortably living there at once. Currently, however, only 8 were staying full-time, and 9 more part-time. Some had families to get to, or jobs to work at, after all. Star was the first to greet them, saying, "You guys are back!" She wore a necklace with the Therian Theta Delta, as well as a bracelet with the non-human symbol. The white coyote was the same age as Mushu, 15. They were the best of friends, and had known each other for the past 2 years. Star had run away from her home, always sparing the details of what had happened between them from the others. Lilypad and the rest of the pack welcomed her with open arms, of course, and never pressured her to reveal where she had truly come from. Jolt, Star's older cousin, came out from behind the lodge. He was a newly awakened Therian, and had followed in Star's footsteps. He was 18, and had lived with the camp for the past 3 or 4 months. Just a week prior, Jolt had decided to stay there continually. The Black Panther flipped in his black hair, dyed courtesy of Willow the lynx. It's like 9 o'clock. Are you two heading in? I just want to make sure I'm not making too much noise, Jolt panted. I've been doing quads outside, and it's not pretty. He jokingly addressed the leader and her daughter. Star nudged him playfully. They live on the top floor, doofus. You could probably scream and they wouldn't even hear you. Should I test that theory? Please don't, Mushu chuckled. The wooden stairs leading into the massive cabin were the perfect height to clamber up, so she dropped to her hands and scrambled up the smooth steps. Lilypad chortled in amusement before following Mushu in a more civilized manner. The entryway to the home was massive, large enough for a bear to fit through. A grizzly bear to fit through. In fact, one of the ultrahumans that had used to live at Starfire camp had rented a bear from a program and had gotten inside the house. I mean, it was a baby, but either way. The hall leads into the largest room of the house, the living room. It was finely decorated with fake leaves, hand-picked flowers, mats hanging from every corner, and an entire section dedicated to making gear and other crafts. To the right was a kitchen/dining space, and to the left was a place for the pet animals called Furry Corner. Currently in residence were 2 dogs, 1 border collie and 1 Labrador husky mix. There's also a calico cat named Frisky. He's old and a bit rambunctious. The rest of the floors were all bedrooms. Lilypad and Mushu shared theirs, which had a divider down the middle. At one point, Mushu's father had lived in the house, but he mysteriously disappeared in the night when she was a small child. Neither Lilypad nor Mushu knew where he had gone. Lilypad grabbed cold water from the mini fridge and went to sleep in her half of the room. Hers was decorated with things related to mountain lions, such as fake fur rugs, taxidermy deer antlers, and paintings of the forest. On Mushu's half, it was decorated with things for eastern wolves and snowy owls. A constant video of the sky played, a view taken from a drone feed of their very own territory. Tails, masks, paws, and shoe necklaces were scattered here and there in organized chaos. A collection of feathers lay on her desk. The curtains rippled as warm air came through the open window. The skylight above showed off the night sky as Mushu closed her eyes, restless but glad to rest. The twinkling yellow stars and crescent moon disappeared. In her sleep, she dreamt of her past lives, her paws thrumming with ease against the soft earth, and her wings opening to carry her through the night. A mouse, nibbling on an acorn, easily caught in her talons. A deer hunted as her pack closed in, her own killing by ending its life mercifully. When day broke the next morning, Mushu groggily yet impatiently awoke. The smell of bacon and eggs drifted from downstairs, making her mouth water. Her mother was already gone, and she rushed to the closet. Deciding to embrace the owl today, she wore a baggy white shirt, a graphic of a feather imprinted on both the front and back. Rather than a tail, she clipped on a necklace with white feathers onto her jeans. She had been given that necklace for her birthday. Food? She poked her head around the door frame. Skylet blinked, not recognizing the fellow Therian. They then grabbed their glasses from the kitchen island, fumbled to put them on, and then squinted as their eyes adjusted. Oh! Sorry, I thought you were an intruder. They quickly shook off the stress. Help yourself. I made food. Thank you. Mushu grabbed herself a plate, taking 2 eggs and a large portion of the bacon. She settled on the island, and Scarlet handed her a glass of orange juice. Any plans for today? The older non-human questioned. The usual. She mumbled through a mouthful of warm food. Mushu quickly wiped the crumbs off her face and cleaned her plate in the sink before thanking the senior again and dashing out the door. Hurry up! Hurry up! Star shouted. I've been waiting for you all morning. Me and Jolt are going to the west border to see if Amber's here. Doesn't Amber go to school? Mushu asked. Human school? Yeah, but she's out for summer now, Star yipped, leading the way to the chain fence that surrounded the property. There were only a few gates, to ensure rogue teenagers wouldn't come and try to mess with them. By the fence was an ordinary-looking girl. Amber wasn't wearing her usual gear or her usual happy demeanor. It had been a few weeks since we'd seen her last, since she wasn't homeschooled like the rest of us younger alter humans. The system was completely unlike herself, her shoulders drooping and her eyes sullen. Fear wormed its way into Mushu's stomach. Is everything all right? Jolt was the first to ask. Her voice cracked. I'm not supposed to be here. What do you mean? Star exclaimed. Gosh, sorry. Star exclaimed. Her and Amber had always been close. My parents found out everything. They think I'm a cultist or something. She was trembling. They're sending me away to live with my awful aunt in another state, Michigan or Mississippi. I don't even remember. Can't you come live with us? Mushu asked sympathetically. Amber tucked her red hair behind her ear, then wiped her tears with the back of her hoodie sleeve. You guys will get in trouble. But don't worry. Her gaze hardened. I'll be strong. I'll make it back here for you all. She thumped her chest with her hand in a fist. For my pack. Mushu and Star exchanged glances, that being a very unlikely thing to happen. You have to make a choice. Run away with us now, or leave for good. I mean, you know what will happen if you leave, right? Jolt broke the hard news. They'll convert you, or something. I've seen it happen too many times. Amber shook her head. Fear not their peace forever. Sending me away isn't going to change anything. She reached her fingers through the fence, and the 3 took turns gently holding her hand. At last, Amber turned away. Be back soon. Bye. Star's voice trailed off. We watched the orange tabby/red fox. They watched the orange tabby/red fox until she became a dot in the distance and disappeared over the rolling roads and hills. The next several days were tough for their group. It had been quite a while since they'd lost one of their members. Mushu was trying to be optimistic, but the chances Amber had ever returned were dim. In fact, the 8 of them were left in an almost mourning-like state. Skylet, the Therian, and Plankin, who would normally cook all their meals, struggled to even make instant ramen. Willow, Sharon, and Fern all comforted each other while sharing memories of her in front of the fireplace. Mushu, Star, and Jolt, meanwhile, patrolled the borders, keeping eyes and ears peeled for Amber, but to no avail. And Lilypad, the strong and seemingly indestructible leader, hadn't come out of her bedroom in days. Still no sign of Amber? Sharon asked Mushu and Star. The girls shook their heads. There had been no phone call. Maybe we can see her at Anthrocon, Jolt suggested. Amber always went, and with a little luck, we can get everyone else to come too. He referred to the rest of the pack, who were unable to live at Starfire Camp. I'm sure they'll be there, Willow said gently, stroking her fake ears rather worriedly. If there's no news of Amber after a few months, we can expand our search to the town. But we know where she is, Star argued. This is so hopeless. She's states away from us. Fern softly smiled and took Star into her arms. The wolf and siren sighed. Don't worry, she's strong. Mushu translated the sign language to Star, who was still learning. The white coyote nodded and then stalked away, still distraught. How's your mother? Willow asked. Same as she's been this past week. Mushu shifted her feet against the pine cones. I think I'll go check on her. Yes, go do that, dearie. The older Therian nudged her towards the door. I'll order some groceries to be delivered in the meantime. Some food in our bellies will solve all this heartache. Mushu wasn't convinced, but trusted her elders to know what was best. She knocked on her mother's door, but there was no reply. She entered, only to see the camp leader curled up on her bed. Lilypad snored softly, the cougar Therian's throat faintly rumbling. Her daughter went to the window, shutting the glass and closing the curtains to darken the room. They had all had different ways of coping from losing Amber, and her mother always seemed to blame herself. Truth be told, this was no one's fault, just a misunderstanding between society and alter humanity. Her heart ached for the system, but there was only a few weeks before summer. He turned to fall wind. Anthrocon would be starting soon, and it would be nice for Starfire Camp to get some publicity amongst fellow furries and Therians. Mushu came downstairs, seeing Scar scarf down beef jerky. Want to go chase rabbits? She asked kindly. Starf swallowed her bite and quickly replied, No, I'd rather be looking for Amber. Jolt appeared and faced his cousin. Star, the liger said calmly, maybe it's time to stop looking for Amber. It's been a whole week, and she hasn't made a single appearance yet. Weren't we going to wait for Anthrocon to look for her? His words were reasonable, but Star was never one to give up easily. And if she doesn't show, her scent is still fresh at the borders. Even if you could smell her in our human forms, his voice was bitter, they would all be stale, and a week old. Sharon has been watching the security cameras for days. I think it's time to cut our losses. You can be heartless all you want, but I'm going to keep looking, she spat. Star bared her teeth at the older teenager, eyes narrowing. Hey, Mushu stepped between them. We are a pack. This is no way to behave. You two are blood-related and everything. Star dug her feet into the ground. No, we settle this. Winner gets to choose whether we search for Amber or not. It's up to the leader to decide. No, Mushu paused. The individual. Bickering isn't going to solve anything. Besides, he's twice your size. She placed a human hand on Star's shoulder. Let's go inside and work on that white tail. We should finish trimming the fur. She shrugged Mushu off her shoulder. That's all we ever do. Star shot back. Then, without warning, she lunged towards Jolt. The cousin easily evaded her blow, sidestepping her. Concern laced the male's face as he backed away, not wanting to fight. Jolt dropped to all fours, and Mushu copied his movements. He began to run towards the... And Star copied his movements. He began to run towards the lodge. Coward! Star shouted and tackled him, and the two tussled together amongst the pine needles and freshly fallen leaves. Stop! Stop! Mushu shouted, blood roaring in her ears. Just as the fight began turning ugly, Skylet appeared with Fern close at her heels. The other pack members grabbed Star and Jolt, too engrossed in the fight to have common sense. Children! Sky hissed. If you were my kids, I'd send you both to your rooms. They turned to Fern, holding back an ashamed Star. Both of them needed time out, Fern signed. Yes, I agree, Skylet said to the mute. Both of you, cool off. She turned to Mushu. And why didn't you come and get us? She started. Nothing. Next time you come fetch me, understand? Skylet's tone was firm, but they were just concerned with the well-being of the younger members. There won't be a next time, Mushu falsely promised. The tension at camp had been increasing dramatically recently, and this fight was the unfortunate proof of that. Have a talk with your friends. Skylet eased up. I need to tend to the plants and check on Lilypad. That old foo is so fool is so lost in her grief she forgot about everyone else." The eastern wolf/snowy owl cringed after the biting words against her mother, but she made the decision to chase after Star first. She would have liked to chase after Jolt, but had a certain obligation towards her best friend. Besides, he could handle himself better than the girl. Star was angrily skipping stones in the ocean, but the rippling waves were stopping them from skipping more than once or twice. "Thought I'd find you here," Mushu chuckled. She sat down in the warm sand beside Star. A sunset casted its brilliant colors of red, orange, and pinks across the water and blinded the pair. Mushu squinted and pointed. "Look, I think it's an orca. Arbery would really enjoy this. He's an animal-hearted orca, right?" "I think so," Star finally spoke, breaking the ice between them. "Sorry about earlier. Is Jolt all right?" "Probably. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I think you should apologize to Jolt, though, not me." "Yeah." Star threw a larger stone, a huge splash following its impact in the waves. She dusted off her hands and rewrapped her wrist wraps, and then brought down her mask. The blue eyes of the coyote were faint again in the fading light. Star sighed and rubbed her brow. She quickly changed the subject. "I've been questioning being an otherkin. I might be a fae." "That's cool." Mushu grinned, tucking her gray hair behind her ear. "Want to walk back home and talk about it?" "Sounds nice," Star agreed. So it started at Skylet's petunia garden. The girls talked until the stars rose, and their voices echoed into the empty sky. Alright guys, so I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this first part of the audiobook. Obviously I can probably gonna end up re-recording this, since I'm no voice actor for audiobooks, like I'm pretty bad at it. But yeah, I hoped it was still okay enough, and let me know if you guys want me to re-record this. And I did have to make a few little edits while I was saying this, so yeah, sorry if there were any interruptions or anything like that. And yeah, chapter 2 is about halfway done right now. And so once I finish writing it and editing it, that part of the audiobook will be up too. So yeah, thank you so much, and make sure to like and subscribe, I guess.